Vida Carson, and I'm the financial advisor in Terrace for Northern Savings Credit Union.
Hi, my name's Jackie Touche. I'm the financial advisor in the Prince Rupert branch and Northern Savings Credit Union, and I also service the Haida Gwaii branches.
So today, Jackie and I would like to talk about registered retirement savings plans and tax-free savings accounts.
So we're going to have a tax-free savings account versus RRSP smackdown today. I'm going to be providing information on tax-free savings accounts, and Vida is going to provide the information for RSPs. So Vida, why don't you go ahead? What's your first point about RSP and the advantages of an RSP?
I think the big thing that the RSPs do for people, and the reason most people contribute to RSPs, is because we want the tax break immediately. So we have to look at the tax advantages of RSPs over the tax advantages of tax-free savings account. And the biggest one is we get that deduction when we do our income taxes, and we could either owe less income tax when we finalize at the end of the year, or get cash back at the end of the year, which is, I think, what everybody wants to do.
Exactly. And when we're contributing to a tax-free savings account, what we're doing is we're using income that we've earned. We've already paid the taxes on that income. So we're using after-tax income to invest into a tax-free savings account. I have the conversation all the time with people. They actually think they can only have savings inside of a tax-free savings account, but we can actually have any investment in a tax-free savings account like we could in an RSP. So an advantage of the tax-free savings account is that whatever money you put in there and it's going to grow, then that money now, when you do decide to withdraw it, you're withdrawing it all tax-free. And it is the name of it, tax-free savings account. But still, people are just a little bit not sure because it is a fairly new product, been around just over 10 years. So all the growth that you earn in your tax-free savings account, you can withdraw tax-free at any time.
And you mentioned that the tax-free savings account, when you withdraw the money, there is no taxation. When you withdraw money from your registered retirement savings plan, whether it's in an RSP or whether you've transferred it to a registered retirement income fund, that money is taxable. But there's still some advantages. Typically, most people are in a lower tax bracket when they retire than when they're working. And oftentimes, if people do not have an employer-sponsored pension plan, when you pull money out of a registered retirement income fund after the age of 65, there's significant tax advantages on the first $2,000 that you withdraw every year. You get a federal tax advantage for $2,000 and a provincial tax credit for $1,000. So typically, if you're in the lower tax bracket and you took out $2,000, you would pay $400 in taxes. If that's your only pension income, you would only pay $50. So that in and of itself is a very good advantage to get that money totally almost tax-free.
That's right. And tax-free savings accounts, they are very flexible for, if you need to withdraw any funds. So what happens with a tax-free savings account is you never lose your contribution room. So if you were maxed out in a tax-free savings account and needed to take that money out for, say, maybe, you were purchasing a house or whatever your reasons were, any money you take out in that calendar year, you can actually replace in the following calendar year. So you never lose your tax-free savings account room.
When you pull your money out of a TFSA, you regain that contribution the following year. With a registered retirement plan, you don't. You lose that contribution room in perpetuity. So that has a positive and a negative aspect to it. The negative aspect is you've lost that contribution room. The positive aspect for that is because of that, a lot of people do tend to view their RSP contributions as their long-term savings, and they're very hesitant to take them out unless there's an absolute dire need. There are a couple of exceptions where you can take the money out tax-free from your RSP. One would be for your first-time home buyer's grant, and the other would be the lifelong learning plan. And either of those is a really good option. And sometimes I actually recommend to people that they top up their RSPs before they buy their home, because not only does it give them that tax-free option to take that money out of their plan tax-free so they can use it for their down payment, it lowers their income for the previous year so that they could potentially get more money back, as well as if there's any income tested benefits, GST rebates, child tax benefits, additional grant for registered educational savings plans, it does lower your income level so that you are eligible for more of the benefits from the governments.
And I think a great way to tie RSPs and tax-free savings accounts together is having a mixture of both in retirement is it's excellent, right? Because when you're in retirement, you're going to be having taxable income come in, and your RSPs, well, once they turn into RIFs, will become taxable income. But the tax-free savings account is there to, if you need to, say, do a renovation on your house, or you want to go on a vacation, taking out a lump sum from your tax-free savings account allows you to not change your income bracket on your actual taxable income that you're bringing in. So I also, in retirement, and I just talked to somebody yesterday about this, is they're not quite 71, or, that's when you have to RIF your RSP, but so they don't actually have to take any money out of their RSP yet, but their income is fixed. So their income is never going to go down because they have a pension and they're living off their pensions. So what I'm recommending is they take money out of their RSP now, they're 67 years old. And then because we know their tax bracket's never going to get any lower, we'll pay the tax on it. We'll take that money and we'll shift it into their tax-free savings account. So now that will allow those funds to grow tax-free. So instead of growing tax deferred inside the RSP, we can now grow those funds tax-free inside the tax-free savings account. So the bridge between the two, having investments in both of them is great.
That's true, Jackie. I always recommend people have options. Options are the best thing you can give yourself. One thing I find is people who save significant money in their RSPs, we need to have that hard discussion about how to take that money out of your RIF when you decide to retire. And a lot of times what I refer to it is we always see our high water mark is at one point my RSP was at this level, and if I start taking it out, it comes down. But the problem with leaving it in there too long is if you're in a couple and one person dies, all of the RSP money can transfer to the other spouse on a tax-free basis. But now that remaining spouse has all this extra income and only one tax base for write-offs. And then it becomes even more problematic when that second person dies. If there's a significant amount of money left in whether it's a registered retirement savings plan or a registered retirement income fund, if there's a lot of money in there, the tax rate on that at death of the second person can be up to 50%. And I don't think any of us have saved our money to give that much money back to the government. I haven't met anybody who's really looking forward to that part of it. So that's a really important part of the discussion, is how to take the money out.
That's right. Usually the conversations that we're having with people is, how can I avoid taxes? I don't want to pay the government as much taxes. So what are the ways that we can, withdrawing from accounts is just as important as contributing to accounts, if not actually more important. I feel like a lot of people put a lot of time and effort into contributing to RSPs throughout their working career, and then they don't actually have a strategy when they want to withdraw in retirement. So having a strategy for withdrawal, and, whether it's, taking it out of the RSP, putting it into the tax-free savings account, or, they're spending it, having a plan for that is very important.
What I like to recommend to people is there's no right or wrong answer. It's what's right or wrong for you at that moment in time that you make the decision. And oftentimes for younger people, contributing to a tax-free savings account is in their better interest. If they're in a lower tax bracket and they anticipate being in a higher tax bracket as they get their more experience in their job, get a better job, that kind of thing, you can always transfer that money into your RSP at a later date. But leaving it in a tax-free savings account initially gives you options. The other thing to remember is if you are set on saving this money for retirement, just because you make your RSP contribution at one time in 1 year doesn't mean you have to take that deduction that year. You can carry that deduction forward until you're in a higher tax bracket and it becomes more beneficial for you to take that deduction.
That's right. It just that using that tax-free savings account as a vehicle for future investing. Once again, that tax-free savings account, super flexible. Whether you're saving for future years to put it into the RSP or saving for for an event like a house purchase or a vacation. Important tips for the tax-free savings account are understanding that you can actually have any investment in the tax-free savings account. It's just not just savings, especially in the interest rate environment that we're in right now. Unfortunately, you don't get much interest on a savings account. So understanding that and understanding that tax-free savings account room, if you do withdraw your tax-free savings account, you get that room back in the next calendar year. Exactly.
And I think the big thing is, and I'm going to go back to it, is options. I think sometimes we get focused on any one thing, as an investor, whether I want to contribute to my RSP and see that grow, or my TFSA, somebody told me this over that. I think the big thing is, if you go talk to an advisor, you're going to get the bigger picture outlook than just having a very specific perspective from one source. And it's always good to have the big picture outlook and an unbiased opinion to help you make your decisions as you move forward in your financial life.
So the RRSP versus TFSA smackdown, I think it continues because there's no right answer and there's no one fit solution for everybody. Everybody's in a different situation. Talking to your financial advisor about your options, and also having a little bit of both, having a tax-free savings account and an RSP is an excellent solution.
I agree with you. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It's nice to have options. It's always better to do something rather than nothing.
That's right. You're never going to be upset that you saved money.
No.